Hello everyone, welcome back to your second Java tutorial from the Kurt Price. Today I'm going to show you how to define variables. Now defining variables in Java is much like C and C++. If you know a higher level language like Python or Perl, you don't really ever think of having to define a variable like this, so it's going to seem a little pointless, but that's how it's done in Java, and it's done in a lot of low-level languages. So it's nice to know how to do. So when defining a variable, we'll call this one sentence. The way that you would do it is first think of, okay, is this going to be a string, an integer, or a number with a decimal after it? An integer being a whole number, and yeah. So this one's going to be a string, which means that we have to define explicitly that it is a string with a capital S in string space sentence, which is our variable name, then a semicolon. Now this just makes it so that the variable's there. It doesn't give it any value. If we wanted to give it a value, we could say sentence is equal to words semicolon, like that. And now we could use it somewhere, and we would get rid of this little yellow error up here, and it'll still run even if you don't use it. But yeah, another thing though is if you wanted to use up less lines, you can actually do it on the exact same line. Just take away the semicolon, put it there, and then string here words semicolon, and that's another way how you can define the value of it. Now, what if you want a number, a whole number, whether it's negative or positive? Well, you would just have to say int, which is short for integer. Then we could say number, and again do semicolon, which would make it so the variable's there, it just doesn't assign anything to it. Or we can say number is equal to 5, and then semicolon. And that works just as well. You do have to, somewhere in your script before you use these, actually give them a value, otherwise you will get an error. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It's just, it might be easier if you define them on the same line than having to do it later, because you could forget. Now the next one is a number like 5.5. In a lot of languages nowadays, like the newer ones like Python, you'll hear people use the word float. And there are floats in here, but it's not what you're going to use for a number like 5.5. Because 5.5 is a decimal, which in Java is called a double. And so you would put double, and then we'll say deci, short for decimal, and that is equal to 5.5 colon, and that works. Now, what if we tried doing like 5.5 up here? Then we get this little error over here on the side that says type mismatch cannot convert from double to int, which confirms that this right here is a double and not a float. So you have to keep like reminding yourself that if you're used to calling it a float. Also up here, if we were to do like 5 or 4, then we'd also get another error which would tell us type mismatch cannot convert from integer to string. Alright, so now here's something we can do with them. I'm just going to show you how to print out the variables. It's pretty simple. You can type system.out.print line, and then just say the variable is, and then plus, and we'll say sentence. There's also other ways of doing this, like you can use string formatters like in C and in Python, but yeah, we don't need to do that. So I'll run that, and this is what we get. The variable, even though I spelled that wrong, I just now noticed. Wow. Okay. Anyways, is words, and that value that we gave to sentence is words, and this will also work if we were to put in number. So I'll do that. This way no one can call me a liar and say that it's not working. The variable is 5. And last but not least, we can do it with our decimal number or double. Oops, There we go. And that will give us, oops, didn't run it. Run. Okay, and that will give us 5.5. So that's the basics of this. If there's any questions you guys have about this, if you want me to explain something more in depth, then I will. Right before we leave, I want to tell you guys one more thing. Even though in Eclipse string is not highlighted, this is still a key word, just like integer or double. So you need to keep close attention to exactly which one you use for these, because if you don't put this at all, your program just won't work. It'll stop and give you an error. So it's very important that you remember to keep defining what type of variable you're using. And those are the three main types that you'll see: string, integer, and double. Also, when we take user input, we will be making variables which are of a different type that we will import. I'll show you how to do that kind of stuff, and that's another key thing to know, is that if you're importing something, you may have to make a variable of a type from within that class file. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you like the video, click the like button or favorite it. That always helps. And click the subscribe button to see future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys later.